Hey, Stoney here with another replay of Mechabellum, and in this game, we're going to take a look at the infamous blendo and also the counter towards it. Let's go. Alright, at the bottom here, I'm playing as a supply specialist. I'm up against my friend RHINO, so it's a friendly spar here, playing as a training specialist. I started with fire badgers and triple marksman. The wall is on the other side with the turret, so I don't want to push on that side. I think it's better to have it defended, and I'm much rather pushing into my opponent's wall. My opponent does have saber-tooth and crawlers, so he is also going to push on my weak side. Alright, round one, I think I've got everything I need except the damage output to deal with these saber-tooths. And that's usually very typical with this kind of startup, especially if you're starting with marksman. When you're into a headbutt with marksman, they just don't have enough time to deal the damage they need. If things were a little bit further, I think this might make a difference, but usually with the saber-tooth, it's more difficult to do. Alright, there we have it. Getting into round two. We've got some pretty juicy cards here, all very useful. I love Stormcallers. They are such a fun card to play, so it's the pick for me. Even though it's not the most optimal card, I think redeploy or even deploy module is pretty good. Imagine if you have a Stormcaller with the deploy module without being an Assault Storm, you just kind of move them around. But it's just, Assault Storm is just so much fun to play. And it's also, because they're so tanky, they're almost like a sledgehammer. But they do so much better in terms of chaff clear because Stonecaller. Alright, so I took the Assault Storms and immediately I'm going to rush for the tower. One thing about Assault Storms is they increase the movement speed by 5 meters per second. I think the default storm is only about 6 meters per second, so it's almost 100% increase. So these guys are boogieing at 11 meters per second. They're going to run to that tower. These guys are going to do things here. They have 4,500 HP, which means the hounds and the crawlers don't really bother them. The only thing that can kill these Stormcallers effectively are really the saber-tooth. But since they're kind of like a sledgehammer, it takes them 4 shots to get through a pack of Stonecaller. Alright, Raging decided to take the redeploy, so now we're going to have a flank on the side to move one of his crawlers. And since it's intensive, he added the RHINO, now bringing level 2. Yeah, the storm definitely made the difference. It provided the much needed damage against the saber-tooth, so everything is clear at the front. Level 2 RHINO though, unable to compute. And it's great because Raging knows I almost always take Assault Storms because it's just a fun card to play. When I play Mechabellum, I prioritize fun over the outcome, which is why most of the time I don't have the most optimal build. And it's also why if you're trying to bet on my games, just full disclaimer, you don't know what you'll get. Okay, round 3, now that we know there's going to be a Stormcaller, and we also there's going to be a RHINO, and we also know that on this side, it's going to get countered. So we need to do something about that. When you have a flank with nothing but melee units running at 16 meters per second, you can pull the entire flank with a pack of crawlers. Because they're so close, when you pull a path like this, they actually would not break focus unless you have another pack of crawler that run into their range. They would just follow this crawler to the end of the earth. Alright, Mr. Raging setting up for the classic blendo, which is the Wasp with EM, combined with RHINO, usually about 4 to 6, in the ball, into your tower. Didn't sell the storms this turn. I was hoping to get a few lucky shots. I mean, these are tanky storms, so they can't just counter it with a single pack of crawler. I'll still get tower. And look at this pack. They're just coming in for a vacation. Alright, he's gonna get my tower, which is not ideal. And finally, the crawlers are taken care of. The fire badgers are moving in, but I doubt they'll have enough time to get to the tower before the rhinos come in. Maybe. Hopefully we can kill a level 2, but it's not looking too good. Oh, one more shot. Ah, scammed. Alright, so Raging and I mean, we played a lot of games together, and we actually practiced the blendo against each other many times. So right away, I recognized the build, and I needed to pick the best unit. So out of these 4 units, both the Fortress and the Raiden can work, but it's the order that matters. I think if you were to pick between the two, the Fortress always comes before the Raiden. Why? Because the Fortress should be your core unit, whereas the Raiden is a complement unit because of the ionization. So immediately I got 2, I took the 4 and I got another 4, selling the Stormcaller, and then I double tacked it. Why double tack? Well, first of all, Launcher will keep you on even playing ground against these rhinos, even if they're coming in level 2. And then AA gets rid of these wasps. So you can't just answer the rhino. You have to also answer the wasp. So often I've seen people answer this with like a melting point or like ranged steel balls, right? So they get through the rhino, but the wasp just rolls them over afterward. So you have to kind of get them both. And Fortress is in this unique position, especially in this headbutt, that it can just get through them, no problem. Unfortunately, EM was clicked, which means they won't have the second barrage. And also with EM, they get completely disabled with their launcher, which is terrible because they really needed that damage into the Fortress, but into the Rhino. But I think in the long run, the Fortress will prevail. So this becomes a battle of leveling and timing. Blendo is a extremely level reliant build because once your opponent outscales you with their core unit, the Blendo will never get another level again because they just can't get close enough, right? So they have to get that initial level advantage to ensure that they always get damage done, and as a result they always get levels, which is why certain units like the Wraith with Degen Beam works really well against the Blendo because it prevents the Rhino to actually kill things to get that level, even though they still do a lot of tanking, but it just slows them down enough, hopefully, to lower their total damage output. All right, fire gets offered. My opponent took the photon, which is great. I was contemplating about photon, but I just had no chaff clear here, and I don't really want to waste missiles. My immediate priority is to build enough fortresses so that when the Blendo comes, I can snipe at least 1, if not 2, of these rhinos and preventing them from getting levels. That's the goal anyway. So now I have 3 forts with a crap ton of fans because they're very good defensively. And we'll see how this works. Nothing is happening on the other side. My opponent continues to just kind of move stuff over. Like every turn, he moves a crawler pack over. I don't have redeploy, which is not good. Single missile, trying to get rid of whatever's in front. And it's got a delayed wasp. So this is quite interesting because if I were to pick photon, by the time these wasps come in, the photon would have worn off. Alright, we got the level 2 Rhino, which means he's not getting any experience this turn. The Rhino, the fortress was, I think it was like a slightly bugged. It's just not turning in the right direction. Alright, we have a level 3 Rhino that's rampaging. I don't know if I can get them. Nope, cannot get them. So here's what happens. Level 3 Rhino is almost level to level 4. Not great. And also lost the shield bubble, and that hurts a little bit. Okay, so we need to keep up the level, right? We have a stonk module, which we can use. But I think in this case, having a photon or even portable shield, not photon, shield drop, or even portable shield might be pretty good. I don't have the money to go barrier, just too much money. But I always wanted to have some shield in order to prevent that initial missile. I want to keep that chaff. And also, once the rhinos get in, these wasps are having a really hard time breaking the shield. There's no other shield break, right? The rhinos themselves don't really break the shield unless your units are standing directly at it. Alright, Raging with Intensive is going to get that level 2 to level 3. I think that's a great move. I swapped out one of my rhinos from 1 to 2, so I'm still keeping up with the levels, just with selling rhinos out and elite recruiting them. This is not efficient, by the way, right? Because I only got one fortress with the extra spending of elite recruitment. And this is not efficient, but this is necessary in order to keep the level advantage. Like level 2 forts can actually deal reasonably well into level 3 rhinos. And if I have like more than a few of these, then they should be fine. Because the highest level units that Raging can purchase are level 2 rhinos. And as the game goes on and we get more and more resources, I can actually start to afford level 2 fortresses, then I'm at a significant advantage. Right, you see this level 2 fort, it's just like popping down. So really good here. Can we get the rhino? Can we get oh my god, the crawler distracted them. So not able to get to that rhino effectively. Fort. Not able to kill this one. And right away, this one goes to level 4. This one goes to level 3. Not good. Raging is keeping up with his advantage. But he's also running out of time because we're getting to level round 7. And I can just mass recruit elite fortresses. And every time I put down a level 2 fortress is a huge blow to the longevity of Blendo. Alright, we got unit drop. We have boats. Now, I already got Photon off the Farseer, so I don't really need the boats anymore. But I could use some anti-wasp. So I'm going to get the Typhoons. Not only they're going to help with the wasp, they're also going to help with the chaff clear with these crawlers. I'm going to add one Raiden with Ionize. Ionize is a skill that cannot be blocked by anything. So Photon doesn't really help them with Ionize. And I'm going to recruit 2 fortresses at level 2 in order to keep up with the levels. Right. It takes the 4th tech, very expensive. But it's kind of necessary because right now these rhinos are susceptible to missiles and oil. So having that 4th tech ensures that the rhino will continue to level. So it's a very tight timing. If he doesn't take power armor, and if I put oil down this turn, then he loses. Even if I didn't elite recruit the fortresses, because it just takes them too long, and by the time he finally gets out of oil, then the rhino would have been dead and the fortress gets another level. And that's not something you want to see, right? Blendo is a highly aggressive tempo style build, and the longer your opponent lives while you're running Blendo, the more likely you're not going to succeed. But even now, right, with Ionize, it's just a huge HP decrease. Unfortunately, still gets tower, but that's okay. I mean, I got 3 level 2 forts, and them alone should be enough to deal with even the boats here. And not to mention, we still have some AA. We still got a Raiden. So now we're going to continue to get rid of the boats. Now, you may wonder, why doesn't Raging open up a new line, right? My left side seems to be pretty open. Why doesn't he just open up something over here? And it goes back to the original core principle of blendo, is that you need to get levels. If you spend time on this side, which weakens your main side, which means your rhinos would not get that level, which will, then you're running into these big fortresses, then you lose. So he can't really afford to open that up until he is no longer confident that he can push this through by adding more level 2 rhino. And we have reached the point, because it doesn't matter if he's going to put these 3 rhinos here and try to blend in here. I don't think it's going to break through, because 1, level 3 fortress, 2, we have absorb mod, 3, we got 2 Raidens, each one with the ionization, so it reduces by 50%, and then the second shot by another 50%, so 75% HP drop in a matter of seconds. So he's no longer confident, and he has to pivot. And the way to pivot is to use the speed of the blendo and now pushing for the other tower. And you have to get tower. Oh, the other thing, my tower is level 4. So even if he gets my tower, it doesn't really matter. This one is level 3. I was expecting some funny business, so I got it to level 3. So either way, like, he can get the tower, no problem. But I would still have enough units to deal with the rest of his army. I think the biggest problem he's going to face this turn is this level 3 absorb mod fortress. But even then, like, look at this, he's running into this level 2 fort, and even then that's not really working out. And for some reason, the fortress in this replay likes to shoot in the wrong direction. I don't know why. And that's going to be game, right? And you can very clearly see at which point the rhinos, the blendos start to fail. And that point is when your defensive units now have higher levels than your rhino, or usually level 2 if you're running giants, or level 3 if you're running steel balls, because he no longer is able to supplement his army that can match with mine. And which is why I like fortress, because you can always buy level 2 fortress, but you can't always buy level 3 steel balls unless you get elite steel balls. So if you're ever having trouble running into blendo, try this out, right? Just having big forts with launcher and AA. AA deals with this wasp. In fact, he started selling out of these wasps because they were so inefficient, and just putting more into the rhino. But the problem with that is very risky. Once you get through the rhino, there's really no follow-up. So get fortress, get AA, and then follow up by some ionized Raiden, because it's currently unblockable with these high HP units. All right, well, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you want to see another one, here is one for you, and I will see you on the next one.
Prepare your tactics, Mechabellum's calling. Deploy your fortress, the battlefield's alive with swarms.